And right now, we are blessed to be joined by a friend of mine. I met him at an event in Oregon. And man, I was so excited because I have watched this guy on TV, on sports. He is amazing. He is bold in his faith. And I have to say, even when he's not on the set, he is an incredibly kind and gracious man. So thankful to be joined with Coach, Hall of Famer, Tony Dungy. What's up, Coach?
Hey, Nick, how are you? Good to be with you again.
Hey, well, Coach, I know that God is always moving in your life and in your family. You're in Tampa. Share with us what God has been saying to you in this time, and maybe you can give us some motivation so we start to go run some sprints in our living rooms.
You know, God has really just, I think, shown me his power in all this. As you mentioned, I work in the sports field, and I never in my life would have imagined a time in the United States when the Masters golf tournament, the Major League Baseball opening day, the Final Four would all be shut down. And we would have thought that that was impossible. But I think God is telling us, you know what? You better come to me because I can stop every single thing in this world if I choose to do that. And as much as I've seen confusion, as much as I've seen people who really don't know what's going on, I think we all understand that you know what, we are in God's hands, and we better be thankful for that.
Coach, man, I'm so powerful, so incredible to hear you say that. How would you encourage leaders, people out there that are, you know, they're a leader and they're normally bold and they're normally decisive, and right now they're afraid? I mean, how would you encourage those people?
I think we have to get our boldness from God and in Christ. And to me, that's the thing. I love the passage in the Bible where in Hebrews it says we can come boldly to the throne of grace, because that really amounts to two things. Number one, we can be bold because we have a relationship with Christ, but we still have to understand we're coming to a throne. We're coming to a king. So we need to come humbly. And how can you be humble and bold at the same time? Well, we can be humble in who we are and in our human side, but then be bold because we have the spiritual connection with Christ. And I think that's what we have to do. And for the leaders out there, especially our church leaders, I really would want to encourage them right now. As much dysfunction as we have and as much uncertainty as we have, there are people who are longing to find Christ and longing to see the Lord right now. Our church here in Tampa, Grace Family Church, it's a large church. We have 6 campuses around the city, and our total membership is about 10,000 people. Well, we had to go online 3 weeks ago, like a lot of other churches in the country. This past Sunday, we had 45,000 people watch our church service online. Wednesday night, we have a Bible study that's normally attended by about 180 to 190 people. We had 3,000 people watch online. So the word is getting out. God is still working, even though we're not able to see each other, even though we're not able to come together. God is speaking, and people are listening.
So powerful and encouraging for all of us that want to be reminded that God still is drawing people now. Now, this is Year of the Bible, and we have been rallying around the Word of God. And I know that God has been speaking to you. You told me that there's a passage recently about Jesus' words, and then you had some images that came to mind. Why don't you share that with us?
Yeah, our Bible study that I mentioned, we're going through the book of John, and we're coming down this final week of Jesus' life. And it's just been amazing because Jesus is talking to the disciples and saying to them, hey, there's a lot of things that are going to happen. There's some tough things that are going to go on. Everything is not going to be smooth sailing, but you have to understand that I am with you and you're with me. And what he told them at the end of chapter 16 has been what's resonated with me throughout this whole coronavirus circumstance that we're under. And he told them on Thursday night before he went to the cross, hey, I've told you all these things so you'll have peace in me. In this world, you will have troubles, you will have sorrows, you will have trials, but take heart, or in other translations say, be of good cheer, because I have overcome the world. And I think that's what we need to realize in this situation. Yes, it's tough. We don't have all the answers. People are going to ask us questions that we really have to say, you know what, I don't know. But I do understand this. Jesus has seen this. He's overcome it. If we stay with him, we're going to come out on the other side very well. And that's the thing that I think I hang my hat on, and that's what I try to get across to other people.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, you've been a coach, and you've had a lot of hats. You're a play-by-play commentator and announcer on NBC. I love seeing you on Sunday Night Football. I keep waiting for my shout-out, so this is a reminder.
Well, you might get it this fall if we don't have football. We'll shout out all of our good friends.
Hey, there we go, there we go. Now, I know that sometimes, right, in any competition, there are big wins and there are big losses. Sometimes the pain of defeat is devastating. When you lose the big game, when you have a hard time, it feels like a version of death. I mean, athletes are so focused. They are so determined. They eat, sleep, and breathe their dreams. I think that how you as a coach would comfort players is very relevant to how people need to hear comfort now. What do you say to those right now that are hurting, that are overwhelmed, they don't see any hope, they feel like they've just lost everything?
Well, it can happen. And what I would tell them is that's the great lesson we learned from football. And I love football. It's a game I've been involved with my whole life. But one of the things that I learned was you don't go undefeated. You don't have success on every play. There are going to be setbacks. You are going to lose games. But you know what? When you lose a game, it's not the end of the world. And even if you get behind, it's not the end of the world. The game that we won in 2006 to go to the Super Bowl and win our Super Bowl championship, we were playing the New England Patriots. We fell behind 21-3 in the first half. We were behind for 59 minutes in the game, Nick. We never took the lead until there was 1 minute left in the game. We ended up winning the game by 4 points, going to the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl. But for 59 minutes, it looked bad. We had to hold on to that faith and say, you know what, until that final whistle blows, we're not going to give up. And that's, I think, the attitude that we have to have in America right now. God is with us, and even if it's tough, we hang in there and we keep that faith and let him work, and let's see what happens in the final minute.
Love that challenge. I love that challenge. I often love to share that to athletes, that the gospel gives really a picture of that last second heroic play. It says that while we were powerless, while we were stuck in our sin, while we were guilty before God, while the clock was running out on us, it says at just the right time, Jesus came and died for us. And it's the ultimate comeback. It's the ultimate hero. And I just love, man, you're getting me fired up here, Coach. You're getting me fired up. I can imagine the people jumping up and down in their living rooms right now. Speak to this. You have invested in a lot of young men and been really about fatherhood, being a mentor, all of this. Now, one of the big things we're really pushing for is discipleship, and the fact that I really feel like we often program people in the church. We send them to classes, but we don't make a lot of time for face-to-face investment. Would you speak to the importance of how you have seen it matter so much that we are at a personal level with each other, investing in the lives of those coming after us?
I would even go to my own life, Nick. I grew up in a home. My mother was a Sunday school teacher. My grandfather was a minister. I had two uncles that were ministers. So I heard the gospel my whole life from the time as small as I could remember. I accepted Christ when I was little, but like a lot of young boys, sports became something to me. I became a good student and a good athlete. I ended up going to the NFL, and I hadn't grown as a Christian. I was an okay person. People would have said nice guy and everything, but people who met me wouldn't have said, oh, that's a strong Christian young man. I got to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Chuck Noll was our coach. He put me as a roommate with a guy by the name of Donnie Shell. Donnie was the most on-fire Christian athlete I'd ever been around. So I'm 21 years old, and I'm moving my stuff into the dorm room, and he's asking me, what are you reading? What is God saying to you in the Bible? And that's why I really hadn't read much in the Bible. I'm reading my playbook, trying to figure out how to be on the team. And he says, all of that isn't the important thing. You better get in the book. We've got Bible studies you got to come to after practice. We have chapel service. Make sure you're there. These guys, there are about 15 guys on the team that poured into me, and I can promise you, I would not be the person I am today. I would not be the Christian man that I am today without those guys who poured into me and discipled me.
So where did you grow up again, Tony? Where are you from originally?
I grew up in Jackson, Michigan, a little small automotive town in Michigan, and it was a wonderful upbringing. Wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. But I had a lot of people who poured into my life. Teachers, Sunday school teachers, other athletes, guys who were a little bit older than I was. All these veterans on the team when I got to the Steelers, assistant coaches. It takes a village. It takes a village to raise a Christian man or woman.
And then you ended up coming to college at the University of Minnesota, right?
I did. I went to Minnesota, played there 4 years, got a degree in business administration. But God was molding me to be a coach. I didn't know it at the time, but I played in a lot of systems, played for a lot of great coaches, moved around the country and played different positions. All these things that I couldn't figure out why God was disappointing me sometimes. Hey, I didn't get drafted. I didn't get to play quarterback in the NFL. I had to switch positions. I got traded from a championship team in Pittsburgh to a team that was down the line. I got cut a couple of times. God, why are you giving me all these disappointments? Well, I want you to know what it feels like, because you're going to be coaching young men. You're going to have a chance to develop and build character in people. You're going to have a chance to show guys that football isn't everything in life. And God worked with me, and I had a chance for 28 years to be his representative in the NFL.
Well, what I'm hearing is that every young person should come to Minneapolis and experience the presence of God. So this is an endorsement for our internship. But last question, I'm going to make this quick. You are a Super Bowl champion. You are a Hall of Fame coach. You have had big contracts. You are a television personality. Speak to those that think that is where success is found. Where do you say that hope is found?
My mother's favorite verse in the Bible, and she taught it to me, and I've held it for 60 years probably. Matthew 16:26. What would it profit a man to gain the whole world but forfeit his soul? And in the NFL, Nick, I've seen people do that, get all the accolades you could ask for, money, fame, notoriety, Super Bowls, but they forfeited their soul, and it wasn't a pretty sight. None of that's going to make a difference in the long run. None of that makes a difference today when we can't even go out on a football field and put 11 people together. You better have the Lord in your life and concentrate on that first and let him bless everything else.